Hi there YouTube, Matt here from the Gear Shed again, doing a bit of a throwback vintage review today. As I promised, is some of my kit that I've had laying around. This particular guy is a bit of sort of the 1980s coming back to haunt us. This is a basically a buffalo sleeping system. Right, so the concept behind this, a few of you might be familiar with the buffalo clothing range. They do, probably the most popular one would be the Special 6 jacket. Essentially has a stuff called pertex on the outside, which is essentially just a finely woven nylon. There's nothing massively technical about it. For the time when it came out, sort of in the 80s, 70s and 80s, it was quite a technical fabric, but it's just a closely woven nylon that's wind resistant and also water repellent, breathable as well. So the outer shells of all the Buffalo Systems clothing and sleeping bags are made out of this stuff, and then the inside they have a fibre pile, which is kind of like a thick polyester. It's not really a fleece, it's more, probably the easiest thing to think about it as being like teddy bear fur from your stuffed animals. Concept idea with this is that although it does get wet because it's not completely waterproof, the way the fibres are orientated, these little fluffy bits on the end here are the only bits touching your skin. So the body heat from your body basically dries the tips of these out and forces the moisture through. So quite good in damp environments. Fairly warm. I've had the Special 6 jacket before. I actually sold it. I found it basically cut from the 1980s. I thought it was very badly cut. Raglan shoulders, really hard to move in. Heavy, you still need to really take a waterproof for most of the times that you're going to be using it, and just now basically superseded by other things. I now own a Montaigne jacket that's a lot lighter, does the same job, far better cut, far better hood. Just, you know, these guys, they make good products, but if you haven't experienced sort of the top end mountaineering kit, it's all kind of very Heath Robinson variety. So anyway, back to the bag. So yeah, so the idea with this is that this was designed as a system. Comes in basically 3 parts. I've got just 2 of those parts. The outer sleeping bag. This is the basically the special. I think this is for the 4S they call it. This is supposed to be designed as a 3-season sleeping bag. Now, to give you an idea of size, pack size and weight. So we're looking at. This is talking pack size. This is compared to a good old cream rice can. So they're not particularly compact. Bearing in mind this is only half of the system, so you're going to look at double this for the bag. Okay, the inner and outer. Weight wise, not very lightweight at all. Definitely not right. I generally try to make sure that my kit is pretty lightweight. I'm sort of bordering on ultralight when I go hiking, bike packing, that kind of stuff. This is nowhere near it. This is welcome to the 70s and 80s. Big heavy boots, massive packs, that kind of thing. Okay, this is where this technology comes from. So you're looking like weight wise for the outer, this outer bag here with the pertex outer shell, you're looking at 1.8 kilos. So that's 1.8 kilos packs down to this size. Okay, the inner, this guy here, which I'll just show you a little bit, is 1.4 kilos. So again, not lightweight. So all up, all this here, 3.25. So not something you want to put on your pack and carry for a long distance. But we'll get to it now. So very interesting construction apart from the pertex and pile. This is a central zip bag. Okay, so the zip goes down the middle. So you don't get it on the side, you basically get into it like this. The outer bag, this particular outer, has zippers for your arms. Right, so you can stay tucked up inside. Unzip these guys, stick your hand out, make breakfast, you know, have a brew, something like that. And also, we'll just zip this up and give you an idea of this hood here. Also, these guys come in different lengths because the pertex and pile works better if it's quite a close fit. It's going to be warmer. So this particular one's a large. I'm about 6'1". This fits me quite well. Not too restrictive. I've got a reasonably sized chest. So you different sizes, and then the hood. This is all I can describe as a gimp hood. It's the easiest way to do it. You can completely zip it up. Okay, not great if you're claustrophobic. Really hard to get out of once you zipped up. But you can make a funnel. So the idea is you kind of zip it up, make a funnel, breathe through it, whatever. So there's no draw cord in it, it's just relied on the zippers and also the cut of it. So it's more like a hood off a jacket than a sleeping bag hood. Okay. Now this is supposed to be the 3-season outer. I'm not a particular warm sleeper. I generally tend to go for a warmer sleeping bag or warmer sleep system. Basically that allows me to offset that I run hot during the day, so when I'm moving in that, generally don't wear too much. But when I hit the sleeping bag, I like to be on the warmer side of warm. So, for me, 3-season, this is not, they supposedly evidently throw around the idea that it's rated to 0. Yeah, no, unless you're a warm sleeper, I'd hasten to believe that's complete bollocks. What I do find is if I sleep on my side or something like that, I get a cold spot where you can press this fleece against your body. Okay, there's not a huge amount of insulation, you just rely on that fluffy stuff. Okay, but bearing in mind this is designed as a system, so what they envisage you to be doing is wearing a special 6, you buffalo clothing on the outside, and then just climb into this guy with it on. So you know, some people would think that would be lessening of the load because you're obviously wearing the jacket already, but all on the heavy side. I mean, there's no two ways about it. It is a heavy system. Now, so to upgrade it and make it a supposedly 4 seasons system, you have a liner. Okay, so this essentially is a just the fleece part. Okay, doesn't have the gimp hood, just has an ordinary hood, goes underneath. So you slide this inside. This is quite old. They do modern versions, and all they've really done is just changed some of the fittings on it. The fabric should have stayed the same. This one here, you actually tie it in with these little tabs, horrible little tabs. Tie into the feet. There's 2 tie points in the feet. You tie those in, and that stops it from sliding around the place. Downside, it's really fiddly. If you want to use it all in one and don't want it moving around, you basically have to put it together before you get into it. Okay, it's not something you want to do at like 2 in the morning when you're feeling the cold. So this goes inside this. You have your double layer. Okay, now you're getting into quite a warm system, but you're looking at 3.2 kilos, so it's heavy. I mean, I'm looking 3.2. I've got my bedroll, my down quilt, my tarp, and probably a few other things to come up to that weight. So it's a lot of weight to be carrying around just for a sleeping bag. Okay. The full system, so this is only 2 parts of it. There's a third piece that they use, which is what they call thermaliner, which is essentially pertex. This stuff here, the nylon, woven nylon, inside this bag here, as a liner that's basically there to protect this fleece. So you can get in with your muddy kit on, your wet socks or whatever it is, wet trousers, jump in, and it supposedly protects this all together. Okay. As much as I'm poo-pooing this, I do actually really like it, and it's kind of my go-to if I'm going to go car camping. You know, I'm not looking at carrying it. As I said, as you see, it's not the lightest piece of kit. Okay, there's definitely better options out there if you want something that's going to be this warm and more compact. I mean, I've got a down quilt that packs down to 600 grams. Packs down a little bit bigger than one of these, and it's far warmer than this green outer bag. Hands down. Okay, probably the only, you know, for this kind of thing, I would envisage using it if you were doing like an overland trek, something in a vehicle, maybe in a kayak, car camping, anywhere where you're not having to put this on your back and carry it because it's going to be a pain in the ass. Probably the other advantages with this are pretty immune to moisture. You can get it wet, you get it muddy. Doesn't really affect the insulation properties. It's obviously not going to be particularly pleasant to sleep in when it's completely wet, but it doesn't really subtract too much from the actual insulation properties. It's not affected much by moisture and dirt. Easy to look after. Yeah, just throw it in the washing machine, pull it out. Don't need to do anything fancy. Obviously, they recommend not using biological washing powder with it. So, you know, Nick Wax or just ordinary washing liquid's fine. Also, storage, you don't need to put it in a fancy bag, you just leave it in a stuff sack because it's got no high loft insulation or anything that's going to be damaged. So it's pretty idiot proof really. Yeah, so overall this you know how I view it, this is 1980s technology. This is probably quite groundbreaking. A lot of people with the Buffalo system, it's kind of chalk and cheese. Some people really think it's the dog's bollocks. I'm pretty picky when it comes to my equipment, and I've pretty much tried everything. Paramo, this stuff, the Pertex and Pile, Gore-Tex, Event, lots of other different waterproof breathable things, different systems, soft shells, not soft shells. So I've used it quite consistently in other cold places and warm places, in the hills here, the hills in New Zealand, Nepal, Alaska. Thing is, good idea, good system, but kind of superseded now. I would use this as car camping where, I mean, the outer, I've used it quite a bit when I've done like 24-hour mountain bike races and we were doing relays. Muddy, wet night, coming out of doing your laps, jump in the tent. Just get into this, take your shoes off, get into it, dressed as you are, wet and muddy, unzip the old sleeves, you can sit there, have a snack, have a recoup, have a cup of tea, zip them up, go sleep. Not affected at all. Double-ended zipper down the bottom here, so you can unzip the bottom, stick your feet out, wander around the tent. Easy. Okay, so it's got a lot going for it. Obviously downsides, but the thing with it, these are still made in the UK now, so they're still made by Buffalo Systems. So it's not a Chinese copy or anything like that anymore. Still made right here in the UK. Just pretty much bomb-proof kit, but not a lot of reviews on the internet. So I thought I'd do one to give you an idea. This one's quite well used. This one's actually a survival aids one. It's those people that know, that goes back quite a few years, but this was actually the Buffalo system bag, so there's no different from it. That was just made by Survival Aids, made for Survival Aids, which is a store in the UK. This inner is a proper Buffalo inner. The other beauty is sometimes you can pick these up. I actually bought this one on eBay for I think it was about 60 quid or something like that. Always wanted one, thought buy it, you know, see how it goes. And then I was at a car boot of all places, and I found an inner, which I purchased for a whole massive princely sum of £2. Now I think these altogether, if you buy them new, you're getting up into down sleeping bag prices, so they're a couple of £100. So if I was looking around to buy it new, I probably wouldn't bother. I don't think it's worth the money. There's not a lot of technology that's actually gone into this anymore. There's no baffles, there's no expensive down, it's just basically a fibre pile inner and a Pertex outer. So these are relatively cheap materials put together. So I think a couple of £100 is a lot to be paying for something like this. But if you pick one up on eBay or at a car boot, just keep your eyes open. Works quite well. What I've also done in the past, if you really feel the cold, is you can use this outer bag as an inner, and what you do is you get a British Army Arctic sleeping bag, which also has a central zip, okay, and you slide this inside the Arctic sleeping bag, and you'll be massively super toasty warm. Then the downside is you're probably then pushing the 5 kilo mark for a sleeping bag, because the Arctic one is not particularly lightweight or compact. Okay, so hopefully that gives you an idea. I've got a few more little bits and pieces of that. I might do a review on the British Army Arctic sleeping bag. Had a couple of those, given them away, but I will steal them back, do a review on them. So yeah, all in all, heavy, old school technology, but pretty bomb proof. Doesn't matter whether you get wet, doesn't matter whether you get dirty, really easy to look after, don't need any special care when you're maintaining it. A wash machine, out, clothesline, it's done. So yeah, my recommendation, motorised vehicle, not carrying on your back, or if you're going to walk, a lot of bushcrafters are into that sort of thing, you know, walking 20 minutes, put a camp and sit around and whittle spoons. This is probably the way forward. If you have to carry it any distance at all, forget it. there's far better options available that are a lot lighter and a lot more compact. Alright, so I hope that helps. Any questions, fire them away in the comments box. Sure to subscribe as well. We've got lots more content coming up. Got a few little trips planned as well that we can I can do some reviews on while I'm away, and also look at some of the kit I'm taking to give you an idea of actually what I do and what I carry. Anyway, apart from that, cheers guys, and have a good day.